And welcome once again to your show, Líderes del Futuro. Today, I want to talk about 16 apps for phones and tablets that put our children in danger. As a result of the advances in technology, we all have access to the internet. Unfortunately, one of the items that we tend to forget is that the internet and the world in general has access to us and definitely to our children. The more we know how to protect them, the better. Often, when our children are young, we tell them if you see somebody in a car and they invite you to get close, they offer you candy, they're looking for a dog or some type of other animal and they want you to help them, do not follow them, do not listen to them, run away, report it, scream, all of these things. Unfortunately, the dangers are often in our homes when our children are using their phones, when our children are using their tablets, computers, and video games. One out of every four youth in the United States who are using the web and apps in their cell phones or tablets have been contacted by an adult they did not know. Many of the youth that were contacted were under the age of 13. And there are many apps that are, to a certain degree, putting our children in danger. Meet Me, for example, is a dating social media app that connects people based on their location. Unfortunately, sometimes the police have found that 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds create accounts, lie about their age, and then it's not until somebody connects with them that they start sharing that the real age may be 12, maybe 13, maybe 14. And because the abuser is close enough, they end up convincing the person either through some type of gift, money, or just simply because the child is looking for attention, they convince them to leave the home in the middle of the night. And as a result of that, they could end up in trouble. It is important, again, that we keep track of what's happening with our children, that at the end of the day, those cell phones should stay in the parents' or adults' room when they're charging, because otherwise, those tablets, those cell phones are putting our kids in danger. Another one that is very famous, is owned by Facebook, is called WhatsApp. And WhatsApp is a messaging app that allows text, video calls, photo sharing, and voicemails with users worldwide. The problem again here is that a lot of it is done anonymously, and the abusers often find these victims maybe on other social media apps and then tell them, hey, because our conversations are going to be secret, let's move over to WhatsApp. And as a result of that, they start sharing inappropriate pictures or asking for inappropriate pictures of children. And then again, some of these abusers, as police have found, are willing to travel hundreds of miles from their homes to abuse and take advantage of these children, or even worse. Bumble is another one that is similar to Tinder. This requires that women or individuals that identify as women to make the first contact. Law enforcement specifically says that kids and teenagers have been creating fake accounts to falsify their age. And again, we're talking about 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 15-year-olds who are in Bumble. And then, one way or another, later on, they start sharing their real pictures with abusers, people who sometimes are convicted abusers or individuals who have had child pornography. And those abusers then again make offers of money and gifts to meet with children. The other one is called Live Me. Live Me is a live streaming app that uses geolocation to share videos. Police officers and sheriff officers say that in these situations, what they have found throughout the United States is that adults, in this situation, again, abusers, can pay minors using special coins to send them pornographic pictures, right? The children end up sending pornographic pictures, and later on, that's where the victimization starts. One of the things that happens specifically with apps that are telling the individual how far away they are from each other. That can be used to track specifically where the child lives. And in some cases, I worked in a case at some point, probably a few months, maybe a year ago, where one of the children was found in another one that I'll talk about in a minute called Snapchat. And the abuser ended up telling the child, well, it would be really bad if your parents found out that you've been sending these pictures out to the world. And if you don't do this, this, and the other, you know, copies of the pictures are going to find their way to your home. The abuser eventually was able to tell the child that they were parked right outside their house, and eventually law enforcement got involved, so on and so forth. But in many cases, again, it can lead to real physical and emotional abuse of the children. Ask FM is another app. This one is more about children, and is very frequent for children to use it in apps like Snapchat and other apps like that, where they can just turn it on and say, you can ask me anything, I'll answer it. And one of the things that we have found out, including law enforcement has found out, is that then people will make really rude comments. This can lead to bullying, again, depression, and suicidal ideation among children. It's meant to be just kind of a game, like what's your favorite color, this and that. But then it can also turn by adults, abusers, into asking questions about sexual innuendo or sexual comments, so on and so forth. And again, what they're doing is they are testing how far they can get away with in order to be able to take advantage of that child. But among children, there's a lot of cyberbullying that is happening as a result of this. Grindr is an app that is used by members of the LGBTQ community to communicate and to create encounters, sometimes anonymous. But one of the items that has been reported to me over the last couple of years is that underage children who are questioning their sexuality, for example, find their way there. They make fake accounts, and later on, through conversations, they share their real age. And as a result of that, abusers, again, may offer them gifts, may offer them money, and just attention. And some of these children end up sneaking out of their house in the middle of the night. And again, unfortunately, they may become victims. I am familiar with 3 different cases of individuals, 18 and 19-year-olds, who, they thought they were talking to someone around their age. They set up a meeting, and then when they got to the location, they were robbed of their property, or they were physically and sexually victimized by other individuals with death threats so that they wouldn't report it to the police. So unfortunately, this is just an app that can cause a lot of problems, not just for underage members of the LGBTQ community, but also adults. Snapchat is one of the most famous apps for children. Besides TikTok, Snapchat is one of the most famous ones now. And as a result of that, again, individuals can share photos, they can share videos, but especially with younger children who have a Snapchat account, they may be 10 or 11 or 12, they may not figure out that they may be sharing their location. And again, as a result of that, in the case I mentioned earlier, that's how an abuser was able to find exactly where the victim was living and was able to, again, threaten this individual to continue to get physical contact and, again, pictures and video from the child. So again, if our children are going to be using this type of apps, the idea here is clear communication, open communication with them, and then we'll talk in a minute about at what age is it appropriate for a child to get a cell phone. Another app that unfortunately puts a lot of children in danger is this one. It's called Hola. And this specific app, they proclaim that it's an addicting video chat app. Again, in a few seconds, they can connect with people, and law enforcement are saying that there's a lot of racism happening in this app, but also there are many reports of especially girls who go on this app and then males end up sharing pictures of themselves or pornography in general to try and convince these girls to again sneak out of the house at night, meet, and then again, unfortunately, it can lead to victimization all the time. Hola is exactly the same as Hola. And there are many reports online of girls in their 12, 13, 14 who have said that even after a couple of minutes of being there, men were sending them pornography, through this app, even when they had not requested, when there had been no conversation. It was just for shock value and to see how these girls were going to respond in order for the abuser to determine if they should continue the conversation or not. And the next one is Calculator. Calculator Plus. So the app itself has the word calculator, but then it has the plus sign on it. And so this one, police officers say that this is one of several apps that are used to hide pictures, video, and other files. And so what children tend to do is if they receive pornographic pictures or they take pornographic pictures or videos of themselves, but they are afraid that maybe mom or dad are going to figure it out. If they went through their phone, for example, what they do is they can hide all those in the app Calculator Plus. And as a result of that, anybody looking at this app from just browsing the phone would be able to say, oh, it's just a calculator. But again, this is part of the victimization. So abusers will tell the children, you should download this app and you should hide all your pictures, all your videos, either the ones that they are receiving from the abuser or the ones that they will end up, unfortunately, sending to the abuser. And so, again, it's important that parents are aware of this. A Scout is also a location-based dating app and is supposed to prohibit 17-year-olds or under from entering this app and again communicating with individuals or sharing pictures with individuals. But again, children can just create accounts that say that they are 17 or older, and as a result of that, they can eventually be victimized in this using this app, unfortunately. And the other one is Badoo. This is also a dating and social media app where users can chat and share photos and videos based on their location. So again, police have found many registered sex offenders on this app that is supposed to be for adults only, but many teenagers create accounts because they are trying to meet somebody local. Again, some of them are just trying to, find themselves and, learn more about their own sexuality or other issues that they are going through. Some of them are just looking for friendships because at home they don't feel the love, the affection, the respect from their parents. And unfortunately, they end up being victimized as a result of this. Whisper is supposed to be an anonymous social network that uses, the ability to share thoughts and ideas with strangers. But again, unfortunately, the location is often shared, and so the local abuser, registered sex offender, will communicate with somebody locally in order to be able to find their location and to entice them to be able to leave their home. A lot of this happens with Snapchat. A lot of that happens with Grindr and other apps similar to that. The other app, and there's three more, this one is called Hot or Not. This app lets users rate profiles They let them check out people in their area and completely chat with strangers. Unfortunately, the goal ends up being for abusers to meet these children in this app. And again, police reports that this has happened frequently in their communities all throughout the United States. YOLO is an app that allows teens to, again, ask for honest feedback. This is similar to Ask.fm in the form of anonymous replies to a question. And again, some people end up becoming the victims of cyberbullying. But also abusers can use this app to, again, start a conversation, test the waters, and see what's the likelihood that they can take advantage of a child. And finally, Yubo is similar to Tinder, where again, individuals can connect. They can choose to slide left or right to start the conversation. And this one connects to Snapchat. And as a result of that, the children who use this, who shouldn't be in it, but use this can end up being identified by their location. And again, individuals will start a conversation and eventually they may become victims of bullying and victims of abuse, physical and mental abuse. And that leads us to the question of what can we do? We need to create open and honest communication with our children from a young age to tell them that, again, nobody has the right to touch them without their consent. It is important to also teach males, boys, to respect the bodies of other individuals, right? And so honest and open communication. I was contacted by somebody. This is how I felt, so on and so forth. If we don't have healthy communication with our children and then we give them a cell phone or a tablet, all we are saying to them, or their interpretation more than anything, is that nobody cares about them. And so as a result of that, they go looking for love, affection, and respect with strangers, and many individuals end up victimized. I will share here about the 12-year-old that was contacted via Snapchat a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago now. And the parents woke up in the middle of the night and they couldn't find their daughter in her bed. And as a result of that, they ended up contacting the police. And it took a few months. She was found within a couple of hours, but it took a few months and lots of therapy for her to share that she had been originally contacted by someone she thought was her age. And when she actually went to meet them, he was about 3 times her age and ended up taking advantage of her. She didn't know how to share it. There was a lot of guilt, and it took a lot of therapy for her to be able to share that with the therapist, with her mom, and with the police. It's important that we check the phones and tablets frequently. Recognize some of the apps. Look up information on the web. What is this app for? What does it do? You can also go into the apps section of the phone or the tablet, and you can just type the word secret in quotation marks. And often, many of these apps will say either it has been downloaded before or it is in the computer or the cell phone or the tablet. And that way you know that maybe it was there, something like calculator, for example, and it has been deleted for one reason or another. Again, we can have these conversations with our children, and we should. At the same time, that brings us to the question, what is the proper age to give a cell phone to a child? Unfortunately, what we're seeing is many parents, they have so many responsibilities that often a baby is trying to interrupt them at the age of 2 and 3, and we just give them the cell phone. It's completely unhealthy for many reasons. One is radiation of their brains, and the other one is just that, again, it doesn't allow for healthy development. The experts tells us that a child shouldn't have a cell phone until the age of 16, and only when they have demonstrated that they can have the discipline to again use it properly. We justify to ourselves that we need it for an emergency, we need it in case we need to find that child. But what I have found over the last 24 years of experience working with youth and families, especially immigrant families to the United States, is that a lot of these parents, when they actually need to get a hold of their children never respond to texts or phone calls. So we are lying to ourselves most of the time. We need to educate our children that once a picture or video is shared, they cannot control who gets it or how it will be used. We need to educate our children that anyone with their pictures or videos could use this to manipulate the children or abuse them, right? There was a case I worked on a couple of years ago as well, where one individual contacted a child and the child ended up sharing pornographic picture with the adult. And eventually the adult did exactly what I mentioned earlier, and that is ended up requesting more and then requested videos and continued to threaten that if the victim did not continue to provide those, and more often, more frequently, that the videos and the pictures would be shared with the parents. And what a shame the child would experience. The child was so depressed that one day the dad figured out something was wrong, took the cell phone away from the child for several hours, and then noticed certain texts started coming in, contacted the police, and they were able to trace the abuser. So this is happening. If we don't think that this is happening, then we are really lying to ourselves. I have written a book for immigrant parents and allies of immigrant parents living in the United States. The Spanish version is called Logrando tus sueños. The English version is coming out at the end of February 2021, and it's called Fulfilling the Dream, a guide for immigrant parents and allies living in the United States. This book is recommended not just for youth who speak and understand English, who are children of immigrant parents, but for allies such as teachers, administrators, counsel, social workers, and therapists. The Spanish version should obviously be made available to parents. And both of these books, the Spanish version is already available. The English version will be available at the end of February. In my website, lideresdelfuturo.org. I'm also on Instagram at lideres_del_futuro with double O at the end. And with that, I want to thank you for being with me today. And I hope you feel that you can share this information with other individuals. And again, please consider, subscribing for my YouTube channel to receive more information on a frequent basis. Thank you for your time.